Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner Football Fans podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the quarterback situation. Again, we still don't have a starter as of right yet. And we also have Sooner fan Todd Parker from Columbus, Ohio on, sharing some Sooner stories, and we break down what's going on with the quarterback situation, the offense, and the defense. Sooner Football Fans is not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma, but we do have eligibility left. Boomer. Hey, Sooner football fans. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
And we are only 10 days, 12 days from kickoff.
It's close. That's all I can
close.
say.
I can feel it. I can smell it.
What about that weather today? Did it not feel like fall football weather to you?
It felt like October weather.
Oh, man, it was great.
Yeah. And, you sent out the tweet. We got numbers.
No, they're starting number in the field. Yep. And
So,
there's,
that much closer.
yard lines, and it just smells like football. not the stinky locker room smell. I'm talking about that grass smell. You remember?
Yeah.
When you first hit the field that first game, that grass smell that you just loved. Yep. It smells like that around the stadium a little bit.
So let's get into a little bit of stuff first. First, a little bit of business. So everybody out there that listens to us regularly knows what's going on. First off, Rob, you don't know this, but myself and Dan Donnelly from Tailgate Connect, have been talking this weekend, and we're entering into a partnership with them. They're going to start sponsoring our pregame podcast. Yep. So we got
secretaries. No?
If you can talk Teresa into being the secretary.
Hold on now.
But we're entering in a deal with them, and if you guys, I'll just give you a little bit of information if you didn't listen to the podcast. But Tailgate Connect is a website that connects people who want to go to tailgates, whether they live in the community where the game is or they're going out of town, with tailgaters. And there's two things, one, if you have a tailgate and you don't mind people coming to it and you want to earn a little extra cash for your tailgate, you can go on to www.tailgateconnect.com, tell them you want to be a host, and they will, phone's ringing, they will contact you, ask you a few questions.
We're doing that for UCLA game, right? Next year?
Yes, we're going out there.
Definitely.
And they'll make you a host. Then if fans, whether Oklahoma fans or the opposing team fans, want to come to a tailgate, they go to Podcast Connect. They fill out their information. They pay a fee. Or if you want to go to somebody's tailgate, you pay a fee. They connect you with the tailgate, and you don't have to bring anything. The hosts are supposed to provide everything for you. But it's a really cool concept, and if those of you who listened know that Dan is the ninja tailgater. The guy goes all over the country.
Yeah, it's crazy. He said a few, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go to 17 or something."
Yeah,
I was like, what? That's not a few, buddy.
But anyway, if you're a Sooner fan, you always want to tailgate, but you don't want to get up early on Friday mornings and sit around to get a space and all that other stuff. Even if you live locally, you can go on to Tailgate Connect, fill out the information, pay your fee, and we're going to have a little promo code, so don't do it today. We're going to have a promo code for you, and what Dan will do and Tailgate Connect is hook you up to a tailgate. So then you don't have to bring anything. You pay it. He pays the fee. The people that are hosting you at their tailgate will provide you everything.
I think that would be an awesome experience. Not at Louisiana, obviously, but UCLA to jump into a Bruin tailgate,
right?
Where obviously they're not going to do it if they're not cool,
right? And
then as a fan, you're not going to go in there and just be like, "Yeah, we're smoking y'all,"
yeah,
kind of a deal. But you might be thinking it.
Yeah, we will be in the back of our mind, but
of course,
and that's, I think, part of the questionnaire of it is if it's opposing fans, he wants to make sure you're a cordial host and let them have a good time.
Yeah, don't do it if you're not.
Yeah, if you're not going to, then if you're going to get 3 sheets to the wind by 9 o'clock on Saturday of the FAU game
and just be an overall D-bag.
Yeah, don't do it. But if
it.
you just like to tailgate, you like people to come to your tailgate, you want to get a little extra ching for your for doing it, you're not going to be out any money. They're going to pay you to host these people.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool deal.
Well, you remember, Terry, we've talked about this 100 times, the 2000 OU Nebraska game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was there. There was a ton of Nebraska. I mean, they traveled really well. And so as we were walking out, there was a bunch of Nebraska fans parked right there at U-Haul.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, good game, you guys, because, we beat the piss out of them. Yeah. But, they weren't bitter. They weren't nasty to us. And, right. There's a bunch of them. Normally one-offs or two-offs, they don't get very mouthy. But there was, 20 or 30 of them sitting in there.
Yeah.
And they were just like, man, you guys, go.
You're back.
Yeah. And they were awesome fans. And you know what? That's one of the things that I remember about that whole game experience. Not, it's not up there in the top, but
right.
But I remember their fans are really cool,
right?
And so I hope Oklahoma fans are the same way.
Well, and Oklahoma's became known for having cordial fans.
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah.
I've talked to people down on Campus Corner that are from the opponents, and you hear it on the radio. You hear people. There was a guy a couple of years ago from Ohio State called in to one of the radio shows and talked about his and his family's experience here at OU, and we got the crap beat out of us. And he said there was no animosity. Everybody around him was friendly. So, but it would be a neat experience. Like I said, even if you live in the metro or in Oklahoma City, that's the same thing, or just anywhere in Oklahoma, but you don't have time to do a tailgate. You can't get up here and secure your space. Go on Podcast Connect when we give you the promo code. That will start next week, and sign up. And if you have a tailgate, go to them and sign up as well. And then Dan will send people to your tailgate, and he will pay you to provide them a good time.
Be sure and tell them that Terry and Rob sent you.
Yeah.
That won't get you anywhere. Really.
Yeah, really.
Don't say that.
Be like, well, okay.
Don't say that at
Who's
all.
Terry and Rob? So that's one thing. On to business on the next thing is next week our format and our podcasts are going to change drastically because the season starts, and we are a fan podcast. You guys are our podcast.
Yeah.
But what we will be doing starting next week is contacting the fans to be on and calling them and doing our pregame show during the week.
Don't we still have quite a lineup?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I can't. It's getting hard to keep up with the number of people.
Apologies to those in line.
Yeah, we're and some folks we didn't get to for the regular podcast, and they're going to be bumped to the first for the pregame. But basically, you get 10 minutes. Every Sooner fan gets 10 minutes that we contact to be on that day. And you talk Sooner football. You give your take on the game. Whatever you want to talk about. Me and Rob will help you out. We'll talk about whatever. And then we'll move on. We're going to get as many fans on. That podcast, the pregame, will drop on Saturday mornings for the game. So you can listen to it on the drive to the game. You can listen at your tailgate. Whatever you do, you can listen to it after the game. We don't care. But we're having to change that up because we're having to get everybody on. The reason why we're not going to have as many podcasts during the week, fan podcasts, is we got to get everybody done and recorded for the pregame for Saturdays. And on next Monday, Rob and I will be taking on the podcasters from FAU. So they're going to be on our podcast. We're going to be on their podcast. And we got the same lined up with UCLA.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
We got the same lined up with Army. We got every team but two in the Big 12 have contacted us to do it. So that's going to be fun, and we're going to try to do those on Monday and drop them on Tuesday. So
it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be fantastic.
Listen, we don't want to talk any smack to the Army ones.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
All right. I'm just saying.
So that's what's going to be happening next week. But Monday, a podcast is going to drop. That's, we're working on two big podcasts this week. Monday morning, you're going to have a former Sooner linebacker on, that's coming in to, talk a little bit, about some stuff going on at the university that they want to promote, that he wants to promote, that a lot of the players are behind to do. And we're recording that on Friday night. And that will drop Monday. And then Sunday, we have everybody and their dog on the podcast that we're going to be recording. We've got Tyler Palmatier from the Transcript, Jason Young from the Football Brainiacs, Benny and Buds, John and Rob from Benny and Buds. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. I got it all written down, and I've got to get it scheduled out for.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah. So, and it's just going to be all these Sooner contributors that do things, newspaper. Oh yeah, we got the OU Daily Sports. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Their sports editor is going to be on. And if you remember, he's the one who got Lincoln Riley when they asked what pose should they have the Heisman, Baker's Heisman. He's the one who got him to say the flag plant. That was the guy who was interviewing him. So
every day that I'm driving by Heisman Park, I'm looking at the ground for some sort of sign, some sort of clearance, or marked off area where Baker's Heisman is going to go. But
I wonder. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they're heavy, but I wonder if they're going to have to move them around, if they're permanent in there that they can pick them up and move them, because there's not an open space in there.
Well, I mean, there's open spaces on both sides and even actually in the middle. So
yeah,
but I mean, they moved berries and buds and
over to the
from the Switzer's.
The Wilkinson Center. Over to Switzer.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that ought to be interesting. So we got some big stuff planned for the season. We may do some post-game stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty hectic on us right now.
It's going to be a long, hard season for me. I can just tell you right now.
Rob, works up there and kicks his tail every year. We both have jobs, and we do this because we like talking Sooner football.
Well, if anybody out there has a job that doesn't require me to work game days, I'd be all ears. I'm not lying.
So there you go. At Rob.
Yeah, go ahead. Feel free to at me. Send you my resume.
But
graduated from OU, by the way.
Yeah. But anyway, we've got some really cool stuff coming up. But tonight we have a fan on that's going to talk some Sooner football. Tomorrow night we do. And then we're kind of going to gear it down and start getting our P's or T's and T's crossed and all that other whatever it is done. That's how just confused I am right now. To get ready going on Friday and this weekend, and then boom, we're into the season. So,
and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good ride. Somebody said something to me today. Well, what if it isn't? I said, listen, you need to shut your mouth before I shut it for you.
For you, exactly.
And I was on the phone with him, so I could say that.
Yeah. So the AP Top 25 came out today.
Yep.
Let's go. Alabama. Agree, disagree?
Well, I mean, I don't want to agree. How about that?
Yeah, well.
I mean, but you kind of got to. I mean,
yeah. Clemson.
We'll see. Number 2. See. Apparently, that quarterback is the real deal, so we'll see.
Yeah, I didn't, but then they got Georgia, number 3.
Yeah, well, listen, you lose arguably the 2 best backs in the country last year.
Yeah,
and you don't fall any. Come on, I don't know. We'll see about that one.
Yeah,
but they still got Jake from State Farm.
Then they got Wisconsin.
So they were pretty tough last year, and they really didn't lose anybody. So I don't have a problem with that one. Wisconsin plays tough all the time.
Yeah,
like you're always going to get their best game. It seems like. I don't know.
Yeah. Then Ohio State, depending on what happens with,
they're going to slap his wrist. Yeah, if that. I mean, he's not getting nothing.
Yeah. Washington. Yeah, I don't. Washington. I don't get that.
I don't think so.
And then we drop in at number 7. Okay, so. I disagree with that, but I don't mind it.
So it's almost like they're like, okay, Oklahoma, you lost a Heisman winner. Can you replace him? It's not low enough to where they're saying you can't. It's just right in the middle, kind of, can you do this or can you not?
Right.
So I think it's a decent spot for us. We went out, we're in.
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. I don't know. It's probably about right. What do you think?
Now, I don't. you know me with the beginning of the year polls.
Yeah.
Me, until you knock off. Now we have a playoff. Until you knock off the top 4 teams, they deserve to be ranked there. Period. I don't care who you lose. I don't care if you lose everybody on your team. You're still the number
there.
one. You're the defending champion. You're the defending Final Four. You should be there. So, if y'all hear that little tone there, that's my phone. We've got it plugged in for the call here in a little bit. So sorry about that. My top 7 is Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Clemson, Wisconsin at 5, Ohio State at 6, Auburn at 7. The 2 that really stand out to me, really, and honestly, are on this whole deal that I completely do not agree with, is UCF and Texas. They got no business being in the top 25. UCF, they lost Frost. They're done.
Yeah, well, I mean, literally from 10 down, it's a coin flip because some of these teams, Miami showed that they were just not very good last year. They when they played somebody that was real, they just got thumped.
Yeah, they got thumped.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Which Miami's in at number 8. I put Miami at 15.
And that may even be a little high for them, but I mean, they could prove us wrong. But same goes for Mississippi State and Virginia Tech. I mean, do you know anybody that plays on either of those teams?
Nope.
So, I mean, but at the beginning of last year, you think they knew Baker Mayfield's name?
Nope.
You don't think they did?
Oh yeah, yep. So
yeah, I bet they did.
Yeah. Well,
so, I'm just saying.
And I gave some love to TCU. I bumped them up from they got 16. I put them at 10. I think TCU is going to be good again. We're going to find out really quick because they're going to take on the Buckeyes. So, also Notre Dame. I don't ever drink the Notre Dame Kool-Aid. They had them at 12. I've got them at 19. The 2 teams that I did put in the top 25 instead of UCF and Texas was South Carolina at 24 and Oklahoma State at 25. Just so our Oklahoma State fans will feel like we like them.
Listen, 35 is too high for them, okay?
Also, they had West Virginia at 17. I put West Virginia at 20 until they prove it to me. That's where they're going to stay.
Well, listen, Will Greer's getting a lot of love.
Yeah, but,
a lot of love.
How many games has Will Greer run or played in?
I don't know, but, I mean, are we going to break his finger? Because I have a feeling that we're going to be coming at him.
Yeah. So, but then, the breakdown with the conferences, I don't really have a problem with how it was. The Big Ten and SEC both had 5 teams in the top 25. Big 12 had 4. ACC had 4. The Pac-12 had Pac-12 had 4. The American Athletic Conference had 1. 1 independent. And Mountain West, Boise State. So yeah, it's pretty even, I think. I really couldn't say, other than UCF and Texas are the only 2 teams that I saw that didn't, I kind of get the UCF, but UCF, they lost some players. The whole, coaching had a lot to do with their success. I mean, the Big Ten better be aware because Nebraska's the Huskers are gonna come roaring back. I think pretty quick.
Bold prediction.
So
I think maybe Texas is getting some love because the defense was pretty good.
Yeah,
and Jerk Erlinger, whatever his name is, I think he's a pretty solid little quarterback. So if they can just put it together a little bit, they can contend probably because the only other team in the Big 12 that is going to give them a run is Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
TCU.
Yeah, you're right. TCU will give them a little bit of fight, but until West Virginia shows any kind of a defense, well, I mean, really that's the pot calling the kettle black though, in a little bit. Well, I guess the proper saying would be until West Virginia proves that they can outscore you.
Right.
then but if Texas defense, if they're for real, and we know Erlinger's pretty good, they got athletes.
Yeah.
They got real potential. So, that's probably why they're getting that love there. And I don't think I would kick them out of the top 25 because who are you going to replace them with? Who's outside of the top 25 that you're just in love with?
No, none of them.
Central Florida?
No. Well, and that's why, I left them in, and I left them in at 20. I think that's about where they're at. I think that's about where they'll end up at, because that's where they always end up at. They have.
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree.
They, you can talk, the quarterback hurt and all this other stuff. Bottom line is they've been for 4 or 5 years touted as, the black horse in the race.
Oh, you're talking about West Virginia.
The dark horse, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Virginia. They're the dark horse in the race, and they never have got to the front of the pack.
They've just never, they've never beat us in conference. Of course, they beat us in a pretty good bowl game before they came, but they've never beat us. I don't think they're going to beat us this year.
I don't either.
And I think we'll go up there and light them up, but, I'm a homer. I can say that. It's okay.
It's our podcast.
I don't have to stay neutral.
Yeah, it's our podcast. So we're expected to.
Yeah, we're going to go up there and light them up. But there's no beating's going to be worse than the one we give Iowa State. we are gonna put it on them. I think just because they messed us up last year a little bit. So and then of course Oklahoma State. Well, actually, we're just going to beat everybody pretty bad. Yeah. So
the closer it gets, we're realizing we're just going to dominate everybody, right?
I think that's the expectation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing with Oklahoma. That's always the expectation with Oklahoma fans.
Sure, it is.
It's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we are. It's who we got coming back. It's always.
Well, we are spoiled.
Oh yeah.
We are spoiled fans. Because honestly, we don't really know what it is to suck like OSU does. We've had some down years, but we're still Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We had built up the name Oklahoma, and even though we were down, it's still Oklahoma.
Right.
Well,
and even in the years that it was down, the expectation from the fan base was there.
Absolutely. Always still there.
And the fan base didn't accept it, and I was proud of the fan base because it wasn't until Blake's last year that the fan base turned against him. You know what I mean? It was, we're done. We're not going to come to the games. We're not going to watch this brand of football.
It was falling apart on him quick.
Yeah. When he was, his first couple of years, everybody showed up. Everybody was rooting, and we're going to do this. We had Fuentes. We had all these great players lined and just couldn't put it together. But the fans were always behind it, like I said, until that last year. Halfway through the season, the fan base was done.
Yeah.
We're not going to come out.
Well, here's the thing: the name that we had built up, like we were just talking about, it was starting to fade because when you're a big time program, you don't go get coordinators,
right?
And we had to go get Stoops, and he was a coordinator.
Right
now, maybe in the best hire, in the whole tenure of University of Oklahoma football was getting Bob Stoops, but he was a coordinator,
right?
And when you're a blue blood, you don't go get coordinators; you go get head coaches,
right?
So
you got people lined up, or you hire from within, like we did with Gibbs.
Yeah,
and all of us who were around and kicking back then, after Schnellenberger and halfway through the Blake years, we were like, you know what? Gibbs wasn't such a bad deal.
Wasn't that bad?
He lost 3 games a year. It was a dang sight better than what we're looking at right now.
But you know what? I'm proud. I'm proud that we root for a team that will not accept a 10-2 season.
Right.
That's not acceptable to us. 10-2. If you're in a down year, okay. But 10-2 on a regular basis is not what we want.
No.
So
it's extremely high expectations.
Yeah, absolutely, and
it's not our fault that we're like that. It's the university's fault.
Yeah, let's blame them.
Yeah, it is. Every coach will go. Everybody wants to go. 10-2, 11-1. Da da da. Well, it's not our fault. You did that for so many years. That's what we expect.
We expect to be on top. We expect to be in all of the nominations. Oklahoma has more wins since
Yeah, 1940 something,
whatever.
The modern era.
Than anybody, and we've scored more points than everybody, and those are all things that we as fans kind of hang our hat on, and a little bit, and it's a little bit bad too because some people live their life vicariously that way.
Oh yeah,
which I'm not. I'm a don't get me wrong. If you cut me, I'm going to bleed crimson, which I guess we all do, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
But when we lose, I don't like it, but it's not the end of my life.
Right.
Either.
Right. I mean, I think we shared it. Me and Caleb one time. We're talking about when we left the Rose Bowl. There was a guy sitting. He was on the aisle, sitting 2 rows up from us, about Caleb's age, around mid-20s, maybe a little bit older, bawling his eyes out. I mean, hands in, raising. I mean, looked like somebody just whooped him. And Georgia kind of did there for a half, but I was disappointed. I was upset.
You didn't cry?
I didn't cry.
You didn't shed a tear?
No, didn't shed a tear.
Come on.
No, did you?
No.
I
was ticked, though.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
What I was more ticked about was, here I am. I get to go to the Rose Bowl. First time to the Rose Bowl. I was anticipating a great game and a win. And, I was sitting there, walking out going, how much money did I spend to come out here? So,
yeah.
But I'd do it again. So,
well, of course we would, but if I knew we were going to lose, I might not.
Yeah. So, where's Biff when we need him on Back to the Future? When we got the sports almanac.
So when we were driving out of Miami, which if you've never driven across Florida, like the trip from Oklahoma to the state line of Florida was long.
Oh yeah, it's a long ways, and the trip from
the state line down to Miami, it's like the same trip from Oklahoma to the Florida line. It's ridiculous. But driving back wasn't that big a deal.
Oh yeah,
it was just like,
Yeah, they say the same thing about it's the same way with the OU Texas game. When you lose the OU Texas game, man, that's a long drive up I-35.
Yeah,
you win it. It doesn't seem like it takes you no time. You get out of the Metroplex and boom, you're in Oklahoma City.
Right. So. There's a difference between losing at the Rose Bowl to Georgia the way we did, because we still fought. We had a chance. Yeah, and so when we left there, I still held my head high, and Georgia fans were like, "Hey, good game," and we're like, "Man, yeah, it was right good until we started sucking." But when you leave the Cotton Bowl after losing to Texas, I just feel
dirty.
Yeah. It's almost like the walk of shame kind of thing. You just want to take a shower or whatever. But that's a different
feeling. It's a different feeling. Yeah. It's not fun at all. I was at one of the Texas games, and I had an OU shirt, and I really thought I was going to have a deliverance moment, because we did the fair, and I went to the bathroom, and these 2 Texas fans come in their burnt orange and get on either side of me. There's 42 stalls in this place, and they get on either side of me. And I shit you not, one of them went, "Looks like we got us a Sooner fan here, don't we?" And I was like, really?
Did you bring your banjos, boys?
It was straight out something out of Deliverance.
Oh my God.
I was just like, yeah, man, it was a good game. Y'all came out. I don't remember what it was. So we kind of badgered back and forth, but it was kind of nervous, in the bathroom, and
I've never really had any run-ins with Texas fans after a win or a loss. Some of them were nasty, but they weren't doing it to me. I've always been, I'm pretty ugly, so I'm kind of menacing a little bit. So nobody really talks a whole lot of trash to me. But there was this old woman back in the year we tied. What year was that? I don't even remember.
I can't remember either, but it was.
I don't know, but we played our hearts out, and we wound up tying. And I had gotten tickets right in the middle of the Texas section, because I bought it from a scalper. And at the end of the game, I was with my wife, and I go, "Oh, dear, look, they're running their cow out on the field." And this old woman, about 80, maybe 90, sitting behind me, is like, "Oh, that's not a cow, that's a steer." And I was like, "Oh, so he doesn't have any nuts?" Oh, man, she was just all over me.
You don't hate on Bevo down there.
Man. It's like, give me 2 buns, and now that's a hamburger. Girl, a little mustard, some cheese on top.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on, we'll get our fan on now and talk a little bit of Sooner football. All right, Sooner fans, on the phone with us all the way from Columbus, Ohio, the new home state of everybody's favorite quarterback, Baker Mayfield. We have Sooner fan Todd Parker on with us. Boomer Todd.
Boomer.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about Todd. You live in Columbus.
Yeah.
Just give us tell everybody as much as you want people to know about you.
Yeah, you bet. I am a transplant. Basically born in Boston, but 2 months old, moved to Norman, Oklahoma. So grew up in the Norman, OKC area, and then moved to Ohio halfway through high school, which don't ever do that to your kids. You can avoid it. And not only that, but moved into a hotbed of Ohio State fans, and I was already a passionate Sooner fan, but it's in the blood. My mom's side of the family is diehard, and dad's too, but mom's side was always around the house. Some of the first memories are grandmother and granddaddy pulling up in their 70s custom van with the Boomer Sooner horn at Christmas, and that was always cool when they showed up. Obviously, bringing gifts at Christmas, but I always remember hearing the Boomer Sooner and just growing up watching the games. And I remember walking on the field at about 5 years old and thinking the crown of the field was like 2 stories high. I don't know how these guys play on it, but
how old are you?
I am now. I'll be 48 in September.
Okay, when you at 5 years old, when you walked onto the crown of the field, it was 5 foot tall. Okay, that's not an exaggeration, and you know it. If you went down there as an adult and you saw across the sidelines, you could not see. You could only see the opposing players waist up. You couldn't see their legs. I mean, that crown was built for the wishbone. I mean,
they were literally running downhill.
Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It did stand out. It's funny, at a young age, the things you remember, but that was definitely one of the things that stood out the most. It was crazy.
Yeah, you walked uphill to get to the, the OU at the center of the field. It was, and I know, I mean, younger people listening and other people, that's not an exaggeration. It was huge.
It was big.
It was big. It was a big crown. And
not at all.
And they always said it was for the drainage because of the AstroTurf that was there. Bullshit.
Right.
They're
coming downhill.
Yeah, that was for all of those wishbone backs and quarterbacks to get that little bit of steam coming around that corner. But that was pretty amazing.
Peacock.
Oh yeah,
first favorite Sooner. Had to get that, and I think I loved him just on the name alone.
Oh, exactly.
But yeah, I remember those guys. J.C. Watt. Well, actually, no, it'd be Thomas Lott was the first quarterback I remember that played with Elvis and David Overstreet and all those guys. Yeah, running downhill off the crown.
Yeah, and everybody thinks Baker was the first one to wear the bandana. No, sir. Yeah. It was Thomas Lott.
My grandma hated that thing, and it cracked me up. She'd whine about it. He looks terrible. He looks like a thug.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, see, my dad hated it too, but he hated it for another reason. And I've told Rob this story before. My dad was a disabled veteran. Okay. And he got hurt in Vietnam. He got hit in the head with a piece of shrapnel, okay, right in the square in the forehead. And he wouldn't let us wear bandanas, and he didn't like him wearing a bandana. It wasn't because he had anything against him. He said a bandana is what got him hurt because he had a bandana on. He took his helmet off to pull his bandana down around his neck, and that's when the mortar round went off, and it hit him right in the forehead. And so he was like, you ain't got no business wearing a bandana. Bandanas do nothing but get you killed. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's understandable. He's got good reason to believe that.
Yeah, but and he would tell you that bandanas are only good to get you killed. I'm like, well, I'm not standing in, anywhere around a mortar round, Dad. So
no, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
No, yeah, and I still think Elvis Peacock is the greatest Sooner football name ever.
Isn't it classic?
Oh yeah, and Rob and I were talking. He had to be one of the biggest badasses ever, especially in like middle school and high school.
Oh yeah,
with a name like Elvis Peacock.
Yeah. He was tough.
How could you not?
I promise you, he was tough.
Yep. Deal with it.
It's kind of like, the boy named Sue. He grew up fighting because he had to.
No
Everybody was
no kidding.
But then an Overstreet ended up going to the Dolphins, and he died in a car wreck, didn't he?
That's all I remember. I just remember hearing about the car wreck, but he did not.
He was with the Dolphins. He played at he was drafted by the Dolphins. Well,
it's funny, and I mentioned some of those names because, and I can't remember them all now, but one of my earliest things was probably after the first time seeing that crowd on the field, came home with the program, and my thing became memorizing the players' names and numbers. So, I mean, even you throw out some crazy names, the Louis Obreys, the stuff like that, I remember them, but that's why names from that era really stick out.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. But, yeah, some classic names and some classic times back then, and we're just as fans and as old, mine and Rob's and yours age, it's crazy to believe that only for like a 6-year period, if that long, Oklahoma football wasn't relevant in our lifetime.
Yeah.
God, it seemed like 20. Yeah, you're right though.
The Schnellenberger Blake era seemed like forever, but it was just a blop in it. And you really think, I mean, even the Gibbs, Rob and I were talking about it earlier, the Gibbs era when we were halfway through the Blake era wasn't so bad.
Looks great. 93 ain't so bad. Yeah, it's all relative, but yeah, you're right. We've been spoiled. We've had some great teams and some of the most legendary coaches. And when you look back on that 6-year span, I was in my 20s, kind of mid-late 20s, and that's when Ohio State was rolling. I lived here in Columbus, so I just remember hearing about it. And the one that sticks out is I used to bartend, and I'm during my shift, and a lot of my buddies are Ohio State fans at the bar. They show the highlight of the Sooner schooner tipping over. And they all just start giving it to me. And so when we beat them last year, I made sure to remind them that it's not all bad.
Yeah, Rob, hit him up with what you were talking about earlier about the.
Yeah, I just figured probably living in Columbus that after they beat us that first year that you probably took it pretty hard, didn't you?
Man, that was rough. It was beyond rough. It was awful. When they announced the series, I believe it was a good 10 years before they actually played the games. I obviously knew that I was going to go to both. Wife is a Buckeye, married a Buckeye. So we were going. The funny thing about it is I was having a hard time getting tickets, and my usual source, I'm used to getting road tickets, and my usual source couldn't come up with any, it was a home game, obviously, and a very tough ticket. So the only thing I could find was a buddy here that ended up getting me a ticket in the Ohio State section. So here I am waiting for this game for a decade plus, and I got to sit with Buckeye fans in Norman. And don't get me wrong, didn't stay there long, and we know how that game started. And it was a total nightmare. Got back home and had to live it out. We did manage to get away, or I did, at halftime to my sister's seats. She sits on the north end zone. And so it was a little friendlier territory. But, man, I'll never forget hearing them trying to do the chant in our stadium. So I come back home, hear it all, and then last September, man, sweet redemption. And I thought we were in for more of the same. I was really worried. Their D-line, as good as they looked, rushing the passer, and I know we all know how good their secondary always is with their cover guys. I really thought our passing game was going to be in trouble, and thank God for Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Well, and and Bill Biedenbow. I mean, because that offensive line wore them out. Our offensive line just beat up on them long enough, and then just took the game over. So
it was beautiful. The play calling, the game plan was phenomenal.
So did you buy a giant OU flag and hang it on your car and drive around.
You know what? I do have flags for the car. Believe it or not, I'm that guy. They're old and they come out on special occasions. They did come out that weekend, and I was laughing because you talk about the flag. My wife would kill me if I forget to tell this, but she was standing right beside me in the game, and we're standing there, and of course I'm staying. We ain't leaving because I'm soaking in every second of it.
Of course.
And we see Baker across the field from where we're standing, grab the flag. He starts roaming on the sidelines with it, and then as he starts to approach the middle of the field, she goes, "Oh God, no, he's not." And because she has been with me in Dallas to the Oklahoma-Texas game, where that's kind of a thing sometimes.
Right.
Plant the flag there at midfield and all that. So she knew before any Ohio State fan knew probably what was coming, and she knew, she said it, and I said, "Oh yes, he is," and there it was.
Did she cover her eyes?
But yeah, there were. I remember, at that point, the Ohio State fans started filing out. They're in the fourth quarter because the game was still in doubt early in the fourth. But then, once it was decided pretty good.
Yeah.
So they started filing out, and so we didn't face too much backlash from it. But the next day, we went to a festival, and I'm wearing my Oklahoma stuff, and I go up to a food truck to get served, and the lady threw me attitude about it. Said you guys weren't very classy on our field last night, blah blah blah. And I just laughed and moved on. They had an employee of theirs follow me later and take pictures because I was arguing with another Ohio State fan in the line. It was a really weird scene.
Wow.
But long story short, it was sweet redemption.
Oh yeah. Well, it sounds like your wife was a lot like Herbie and the guys on the broadcast, because they did the same thing as he started running. Oh, he's not gonna. Is he? No, he's not going. Oh man! And when he planted the flag, it was classic commentary.
Because you're right. I got to watch the replay, and Chris Fowler does do a. He's gonna.
No, he's not. No, he was surely he's the. Oh man! But yep. I mean. Yeah, it would have ticked me off, but I mean, the bottom line is, and I think they even, Urban even said, they asked him about it later. He's like, oh well, if you don't want it done, win the game.
Butt beat, right.
Win the game.
Yeah, same way.
Win the game.
If we don't want them to do their chant inside our stadium, win the game.
Exactly. And that was the thing. I didn't have a problem with them with the basic defense signs and singing their song on our field because we didn't win the game. Yeah. That's you get to carry on the road. So it was just crazy. The butt hurt was strong, man. It was kind of funny.
Yeah,
that is sweet redemption right there.
Yeah, and we can bring it up because I'm going to bring it up. Because I just thought about it. That was one of the stripe the field games. Okay.
Yeah.
And,
oh God.
Yeah. And the Notre Dame game was a stripe the field.
Yep.
And we're 500 in stripe the field games. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We need to no longer stripe the field.
Don't like it at all.
Knock it off.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, and I'll admit it looked cool that night. I hadn't been to a home game in a few years, but no, it ain't working.
Yeah. Last year, Iowa State was striped the stadium day.
Oh, that's right.
I know it's right.
That's right.
That's enough right there to stop it for eternity.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Just do red out or white out.
Yeah, red out, white out.
Black out. Blue out. I don't care.
Or, hey, let's do the 50-50. I prefer the Oklahoma-Texas game. That's just
there
great.
You go.
Right down the middle.
North side wear red.
Yep, I'm okay with that.
Side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remembered, speaking of of Oklahoma, Texas, and my wife, the first game, or first one of those I go to is with her in 2000 of all years.
Wow.
So we're standing there, and of course I'm preparing to get our butt whipped. I even made a wager with my brother-in-law that if we won, I'd get a tattoo. So yeah, I have a tattoo from that game. But on the very first touchdown, we're standing there. It's rainy. It's terrible weather. And I'm with my sister, brother-in-law. Brother-in-law's big 6'4" dude. He's kind of in the middle of us. sister's real short, and then my wife's about my height. I don't know, she's shorter than me, 5'7". Anyway, first touchdown to Woolfolk down the sideline. I just jump up, freaking out, hands up in the air, and I'm looking for a high 10 sort of thing. My wife was standing up on the seat, and I reach up to high 10 her, and the next thing you know, we're jumping up and down, and I got my hands full of her boobs, and it's a beautiful touchdown. And next thing you know, we win 63-14. So, it worked.
So is that a new tradition at the OU Texas game? You grab your wife's boobs?
My sister has never forgotten it. She's never let it go. She looked over at us, and I've never seen her laugh so hard. It was absolutely hilarious.
Hey, we've had discussions before, about superstitions for games. I'm a superstitious person with games, and if something works, hey, if you feel like that helped us win or it turned the corner, by all means, from now on.
You have Terry's permission. Okay, I'm just saying.
So. Yep, I'll give her that look. If we're at home, just the two of us watching the game and we score, and she'll just kind of hide.
Yeah. So, what are you looking forward to this year? I mean, what do you think? The quarterback. Still haven't named a quarterback as of the end of practice today, but neither has FAU. So,
true.
But
true.
What do you think about all that?
From what I'm hearing, I hear that it has been really even. Kendall made a big push, I guess, a week ago, but I hear that after Saturday's scrimmage that Kyler might have taken a little bit of a lead and that he might be the guy. But, man, I think we're going to be so good at quarterback. What I'm worried about, and I don't think he'll do it, is that he messes around and plays two.
Oh, Lord God.
You guys worried about that at all?
Yes, I'm worried about that. We've had a discussion about that. It is. I don't think that's Lincoln's
his MO.
His MO. I think it's you're the guy.
Well, I think he should not do it because you and I are not a fan of it.
Yeah. So Lincoln, if you're listening, Rob, Terry, and Todd do not like the two quarterbacks.
I think there's probably
it never pans out. You got to have that leader. You got to. I mean, I could see them both playing at some point, but Kyler just brings that element of explosive that no one in the country can really match. I mean, and if he can just be somewhat accurate with the run game we should have, there's going to be some big plays. But of course, I'm the glass half full guy. I always think we're probably going to go undefeated, but I really feel good about this year. And I've heard it mentioned on the podcast many times, and I've fallen for it before many times. But I do think the defense is going to be better, and I think we're going to be able to control games a little bit more. As fun as explosive as we were with Baker. We were so explosive sometimes with our weak defense that it just hurt us.
Right.
But I hope that we can control games a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think we will.
Well, from what came out today and stuff I was reading today, is one of the things is Austin apparently played better this fall or this summer camp, fall camp, whatever it's called. We used to call them 2-a-days, but they don't do that anymore. So it's whatever they call it nowadays. Is he's playing so much better than anticipated. Even people that have been out to which I think it's really cool that Lincoln has opened up the practices to them. Not all of them, obviously, but you see the post on Twitter all the time.
Sure.
The guys out there showing drills and stuff, but. From people that have been out there is that Austin is, he's not a bad athlete. Obviously, he's not explosive, but he's performing better than what everybody anticipated him to perform. So,
I agree. I'm hearing he's having a phenomenal camp, and I think his efficiency, he wins that battle. And I do think he's willing a little bit more to take what the defense gives. This is all based on practice reports I'm reading and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But
that's what
a little bit more of the dink and dunk stuff. And I guess on Saturday he had a perfectly thrown bomb down the sideline. I guess it was dropped, but I think he's just going to be a little more of a ball control guy. And I think if we got to play, if we have to play him, whoever wins the job, we're going to be fine. And I think whoever has to play QB, we're going to be all right. I think we got a shot at. I think we're going to win another Big 12 championship, and we're going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and the one thing that also I read today with Kyler is that his command in the huddle. Apparently, there's a little more attention being paid to things he's saying by the team, so that's going to be a big key with it. But,
sure. Oh, you're hearing that he does have more command of the huddle.
A little bit more command of just a little bit of edge of command in the huddle. So
a little bit there goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
So, yeah.
Sure. Well, and he's been in some battles. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But he has been in some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, I respect what you're saying about our defense, and like I said, I'm still not drinking that Kool-Aid. I mean,
don't blame you.
I didn't drink it last year until like I said, the Ohio State game. And, man, I turned up about 5 cups of that Kool-Aid. Was like, here we are, we're rolling. And then we walked down into Baylor, and it was like a damn, spaghetti siphoning dish, whatever those damn things are called.
Wasn't that just a slap of reality?
Ugh. Oh, it was
right?
horrible.
I mean, yeah, and yeah, we won the game, but I know what you're talking about, because I came off that Ohio State game like, not only am I personally thrilled for my reasons we discussed,
right?
But man, we are back. People are fearing Oklahoma again. Holy shit! Look at what we're going to be able to do. And then the very next week, we go out and do that on defense.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Oh,
well, I think this year coming, like you said, there may not be a more explosive player in college football right now than Kyler Murray.
Right.
So the offense, I think, is going to move the ball, and I think it's going to move it, I wouldn't say at will, but effectively. Let's just say effectively.
Right.
We might not score as quickly, though, as we did last year, because I think we're going to run the ball a little bit more than we did, which will give our defense time to rest.
Right.
You remember last year, they'd just gotten off the field, and we went out there and scored, boom,
6
and they're
plays
right
later.
back on.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case.
I agree. I don't know what you guys have seen or read. I'm a little worried. Oh, I know Bedenbaugh is always going to have them ready and right. I hope Ford is ready for left tackle if that's where he ends up.
Yeah.
I know he'll be a mauler in the run game, but I do worry about him out on the edge a little bit. But we'll see. I think they'll be fine. But, yeah, I agree. I think they're going to run the ball better and hopefully control games and shut them down. But the defense, man, why do I feel like this is the year? Why do I feel like it's going to be better?
Yeah.
Because the depth, I think, is finally there, or it's getting there. And I think our secondary play is just going to be a lot better.
Well,
I think Buki might be that guy.
Might be.
Yeah.
Terry and I feel like if we could just move up 20 spots from 67 to 47, that puts our defense in the top 50. That not only do we play for another, playoff, that we actually win and go into the championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just 20 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and it's realistic.
Yeah,
we're Oklahoma.
That's 1 or 2 more stops per game.
Right.
That's all you have to do.
That's one more pick, or one fumble recovery.
We're not asking for for them to rebuild the atom or whatever. It's just stop people from scoring 2 more times than what they did last year. It's just that's all you have to do.
In the same fashion, how many times do teams line up for 3rd and long against us, and you almost just know they're going to get it because we're playing 10 yards off, and all they have to do is run 1 yard after the catch, and they got it. It's just mind-blowing. So if we keep doing that, we got nobody to blame but ourselves for not firing the guy. But, yeah,
here's what I love about doing this podcast, because I don't know how many fans we've had on so far, upwards of 50, okay? And we've had some sports writers and bloggers and the guys who do stuff for the Football Brainiacs and 24/7. And I don't think there has been one fan, one expert on this podcast who hasn't said that exact same thing.
Yep.
Everybody, we're not, obviously we're not I'm not going to say we're not geniuses, but we're not football coaches.
because we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're not football coaches. We don't get paid $900,000 to coach the defense at OU.
I feel like we should.
I think we should, or split it up amongst all the fans, and because every one of us feel the same way, and have for the last 5 years. Is we sit here and we look, and it's 3rd down and 13, and we got 3 guys rushing. We got oboe 4 yards off the ball. Everybody in the stadium knows we're not going to blitz, and everybody's 12 yards off the ball.
Prevent defense.
Boom. And I don't get it.
It's mind-numbing. It is mind-numbing.
It doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and which I found out today. Somebody said something to us last week also on Bookie. It is pronounced Bookie.
Oh, yeah.
That it's Bookie. So we got to get you. It's like Mookie. Everybody's got to get used to that.
Yep, that's how I remind myself. Apparently, I found that out just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
myself. But it's not the guy you go to wager on your game.
You're right,
Mookie. Yeah,
but what I like is that they're talking about the nickel package that they're going to put in. Apparently, Deshaun White, who's a freshman, who not to promote myself here, but it's recorded. I said there's something about this guy on everything I read. He's going to be something, and they're talking about that nickel package with him and Buki back there in the backfield, in the defensive backfield.
I want him to be in the offensive backfield.
Yeah, but I think he will be when they start putting him and Buki back there together. You know what I mean? That's the point of it.
Cover as well as they say. Yeah, that'd be awesome because Lincoln wanted him so bad. And even though Lincoln's an offensive guy, he wanted that guy. And I followed his recruiting, and I was one that was kind of sick of the drama with Deshaun White. But his cover skills are what they coveted.
Right.
And thank God they stuck with him because that's everything I'm hearing is that he's coming in looking like the real deal, turning heads.
The other thing that I've heard that I don't like that's coming out is, number one, I do like this guy's name. It's one of the greatest names in, I think Sooner history. Addison Gumbs, Gumbs. I just love that name. Yeah. We got 2 guys, 2 freshmen, Addison Gumbs and Nick Bonito. Badass names. I love both those names. But
good football names.
Yeah. But I guess him and John Michael Terry, they're the oboe position that oboe played, the Mike linebacker.
Yep, the jackbacker.
Yeah, he's talking about them as they're going to probably play them different than they did oboe because they don't have, oboe was a special kind of pass rusher, which I'm not sure how Mike figured that out because he didn't let him pass rush enough last year.
Right.
He had him back in coverage. But he said it that they're different styles. They got their coverage deal, so they're not going to play them the way that they played oboe. So what the heck does that mean? For the love of God, don't let us go back through this again of sitting here, with no pass rush. We've been talking about, what is it, the 4-3-5 is what they're going to be running primarily in the nickel package.
Yep.
If one of those 4 ain't a rush end, then why are we doing it?
Then what are we doing? Yeah, well,
nickel's a 4-2.
That's one of the things they say they've changed is they're going after the bigger defensive end, the true down in the dirt guy. Now, if that guy that they still want rushing, I think so. But yeah, we seem to go smaller, and I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah,
we seemed to go smaller there a few years ago, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And especially when you got a talent that you drop back into coverage, it ain't going to work.
Yeah, I just had, Rob corrected me. I just had a brain fart, and I can't add. It's the 4-2-5. 4-3-5 would mean we'd get a penalty.
Right.
I knew what you meant. Yeah.
But, yeah, you're right. But, I mean, I don't
want to play 4-3-5.
We may need to.
We need to
play 4-3-5.
But, last year, with Obo, and like I said, I don't know the two guys' names. Jason Young from the Football Brainiacs, he's going to be on with us next week. He'll, I'm sure, talk about him more.
Yep.
If you haven't heard him, he's pretty good.
Yeah, the guy.
That guy knows his stuff.
Oh,
He's
man.
kind of a lineman
That's it.
specialist.
And I love that crap, man. I love.
Yeah.
But he talked about the two. That we've got two guys on campus, or they're being recruited, or are they on campus? I can't remember. They're 6'5" and 6'6" defensive ends.
Oh.
Massive defensive ends, and he's like, and they move. That's just the thing. And we went away from that.
Yep.
You know what? I'm sorry. I want to interject this because it just popped into my mind. Did we get the number 1 lineman today, Wilkins?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Stacy Wilkins. Did we
get
get
him?
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Wilkins committed.
I've been under a rock.
Yep.
I didn't see it today either. Sweet.
The number 1 lineman in the country, right?
Yeah, well, I think that was like last week or the week before. You're talking about Stacy Wilkins out of Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the Arkansas kid, yeah.
Yep.
He committed, and he jumped up in the composite rankings. I don't know how much you follow that stuff. I follow some of it, but he jumped up big, so he's starting to get some love. And he definitely committed to us.
And another thing that apparently happened today, and Caleb, when I got home today, asked me if I heard about it. Did you hear who was at practice? I guess this weekend or today, maybe, and met with the defense?
No.
Tommy Harris.
Oh, I seen the picture.
Really?
Roy Williams,
Teddy Lehman,
and Teddy Lehman.
Yep.
And they had I guess a private meeting with the defense. Is the way I understand it.
Yeah, they tweeted out a picture.
Yeah. So
I have not been on Twitter today, so I cannot wait to see that. And that is music to my ears,
because
man.
We brought that up last week. We were talking about it with Matt McClure, who was on the podcast. He went to high school with Caleb, and it was the first podcast Caleb's been on forever. We talked about we're missing that. Forget about the early 2000s. Let's just talk about the Sooner defense in history. That edge of nastiness, the Bosworths, the George Cumbies, the Tony Casillas,
Torrance Marshall,
the Torrance Marshalls.
You got my boy's trophy.
Get my boy's trophy back.
Yeah, that attitude we haven't had since really McCoy. And you name one. Not that we haven't had good players, but we have not had that nasty attitude from our defense. That safety blitz, corner blitz threat in I don't know how long. And I don't give a crap. Don't sit here and preach to me. Well, you can't do that in the Big 12. It's a whole different deal. Bull crap. You can too. Yeah. You can have a top 10 rated defense in the Big 12 because freaking TCU does it year after year. Don't tell me you can't do these things. It was a different philosophy that Oklahoma went to try to slow down the run and gun, and it didn't work. Now, and I think that's what I really like. I think Bob was doing it. Him and Mike were turning the back. But I think that's what Lincoln is doing is he wants that nasty defense back. He wants those guys that, my favorite thing on TV that I ever saw with a player was against Iowa State when Dan Cody passed out on the sideline.
I remember.
Do you remember that?
He did.
Yeah. He was screaming at the defense and flat out forgot to breathe.
Just whited out. I remember that. He did. He went down to the ground.
That's what I want to see again. That's what I want to see again. I want to see and I think, like Buki and I think Deshaun White, these guys with that type of skill and that type of mentality, like Jason has said before, when you start bringing the 4 and 5 star guys in again, high level,
look out.
They're going to come in and expect they're going to compete with a guy that's been at Oklahoma for 3 years, period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got to get
back. And probably win the job.
Yeah. There's a lot of them right now. Deshaun White and Buki, they're right out of the box. You
look at Norwood and Brown last year,
right,
being called on at the end of the season when the games matter most. I mean, these guys are. Yeah, I agree. I think we're getting back to getting some. You hear it used all the time, dogs back there, but it is that dog mentality.
Right.
And from what I'm reading and the practice reports, we've got some.
Yeah.
And it's Justin Broyles, they're saying, is the guy.
Oh, and
that
apparently,
brings the
basically, it sounds like they've given the safety spot to him. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, it sounds it's just like boom. It's pretty much without saying it. They haven't said it, but all indications are it's done. And then you look at Michael Thompson from St. Louis, and what's the kid from Oklahoma's name?
Jalen Redmond.
Yeah, Redmond. They were expected to play this year. Both of them, the blood clots with Redmond and Thompson, the ACL. There's again 2 elite athletes, defensive players that were expected to come in and push for starting time, and probably would have got.
They might have been, they might have been the 2 most talented that were expected on the D line that were expected to come in and contribute. So I hope Redmond's okay. I'm hearing, I guess he is. I don't know. Obviously, he's not playing, but
he's got to sit out. Obviously, that's the most important thing is the blood clots. He's got to go through the therapy for that. And depending on what type it is, as to how long you got to be on the, I guess probably I'm assuming blood thinners and I can only assume that because my wife, she's had a few blood clots after surgery, and she's gone through the same thing, blood thinners, and
it really just depends on what the reason is that he had them.
Right.
So
got it.
It could be nothing, but it's not something you want to play with.
You got to get it right. And I knew he was out. I just when it happened, I wondered if it was going to affect his football future, but it sounds like he might be able to play.
Yeah,
if they can manage it.
Right. They really haven't said. I mean. I think they said they're expecting him to be okay, but I think Lincoln kind of hem-hawed around it as hey, it's just he needs to get well, and we'll deal with football when we have to deal with it. So
sure.
So let me ask you this, because we do have a lot of injuries, right?
Yep.
So is this going to be a scapegoat for Mike? And I don't want to start jumping all over Mike, even though if his defense doesn't rise from 67. Like if it's not any better, if we're 67 or in the 60s, or even if we move into the 70s next year, he's got to be on the hot seat. But he's not going to go. Yeah, I don't want him going, well, if we hadn't had all these injuries,
Right.
I hope that's not the case, because if he's not, if that defense is not significantly better, he's got to be on the hot seat.
Well, so far we've got the 3 defensive injuries right now, the corner and the 2 defensive linemen. Unless I've missed something in the last couple of days.
No, and these the 2 D linemen are true freshmen coming in. I mean, if we're counting on those guys right away, then we got bigger problems. I mean, that's great if they can contribute, but no, I just think I think it's probably pretty well known that it's a put up or shut up year, and you guys have said it. We're not, he's not being asked to put out a top 10 defense.
No.
But if we can just be top 40, we were in the game last year, and likely with a pretty favorable matchup. And we all know what we could have done. I mean, that 2015 defense was pretty good, but then we obviously took a dip. And this year, the talent's there. The depth's there. In my eyes, there's no excuse. And I think he's being managed like he's never been managed. I think Diaco was brought in for a reason. I think Lincoln is more involved from what I'm reading on the defensive side of the ball than he's ever been, and that kind of worries me because he's already a stressed-out head coach calling plays.
Right.
But he's an uber-talented coach, and we all, I think, trust what he's doing, but Mike's got to get it done, period.
Yeah, because, that – and if Lincoln's going to be the type of coach that Bob was, and I'm sure that Bob – he's got the final say. But Bob always said, he learned from 2 of the best, well, 3 of the best, really, because, the old ball coach just went blank. Spurrier. And then at Kansas State, man, I'm drawing blanks. Schneider. The old man Schneider.
Weekend at Bernie's.
And then, he learned from 2 opposite ends that Schneider was too involved. And then maybe Spurrier was a little, not involved enough.
2 hands off.
Yeah, but then Barry was, Barry always said this when he coached, was you got coordinators to coordinate. They're your coaches. You got to let them coach. That's why you hired them. Yeah, you have the final say in what we want to do here, there, or there. But if you're not letting them coach, then that's an issue. You know, Lincoln's got his handful, like you said. He's going to keep calling plays. I'm not sure I like that, but hey, if we win, I don't care.
Well, and he's the best in the country at it.
Right, and I think that's one of the things with one of the reasons, you know, Diaco is a consultant. He needs that person in his ear or maybe in Mike's ear to go, no, Mike. Maybe that's his head coach voice to Mike when he, you know.
Hey, Mike, maybe we don't play 10 yards off the ball this time.
yeah.
Right.
No, Mike, don't give them 10 yards cushion. No, let's bump and run.
Please
bump and run.
Please no.
Yeah.
Just don't get me wrong. I think Mike can coach. We all know.
Oh yeah.
Mike can coach. He's just, I think he gets in his own way.
Right.
I think he outthinks himself. And then he goes into safe mode, and we all want to scream and drink bleach.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, Rob, you said it the best one time is we would love, you know, he doesn't owe it to us, but we would love to sit down with him and go, explain it to us. Explain, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't care if he calls us an idiot. If he goes, listen, idiot.
Right.
A, B, C, D, and D. Oh, okay, thank you.
Love to know that.
I would love to know it, you know.
Yep.
And don't fall back on, well, the talent level, you know, because they always kind of lean to that. They don't blame. I'm not going to say they haven't blamed it on the players.
You've got to give them the chance.
Right. You know,
right.
And I think any fan, any player, any fan would much rather, you know, on 3rd and, you know, 13 be man on man up at the line to keep them off. Competing on it. Not, you know, hell, we were getting
players play.
Yeah. I mean, half the receivers, all they got to do if they catch the ball at the 10-yard, if it's 13 yards, they take one step and fall forward, it's a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We were giving them that 10 yards to try to tackle them in front of the ball or in front of the line, and it never worked. It just,
he goes conservative, and I guess on 3rd and 32 it works, but on 3rd and 8, no, let's not do that. Let's let our guys play.
Because
crazy.
I think we're with you. Any time it was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, you never
felt comfortable.
Never had confidence. Okay, we're going to stop them here. We're going to do, especially in the big games. You never were confident as we're going to put a stop. We're going to get a stop.
No, and not only not confident, practically no. It was a given. They were going to get it.
Yep.
I had to turn away half the time. Couldn't watch.
Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Man, I tell you, we had a watch party. I'd say party. You know, just people came over. It's New Year's Day, right?
Yeah.
And we've done that a few years. And a lot of the friends are Ohio State fans, so they didn't have a dog in the fight. And a lot of our friends have young kids, but we're having a good time, eating, drinking, being merry. The game's on. Of course, I'm going nuts, screaming and yelling, having a blast. And then everyone leaves at about halftime, and kids are getting tired. They're going to take them home, and things went wrong. So I'm banging my phone when things started going bad. Everyone, come back now!
Exactly.
Come back now! You have to come back.
Yeah,
they didn't.
You've jinxed it. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'm with you.
It's their fault.
I'm that same. You know, Rob says he's not, but he is a little bit. But he blames it on me and Caleb. But you know, we have the rally patio that
That's right.
The Ohio State game and the Texas game. You know, I said we've got a big 65-inch curved screen TV in the front. We got a 52-inch here in the podcast game room, and then we got a 20-inch flat screen out on the patio. And we always seem to end up out on the patio watching the tiny screen. But it's funny, we do that in OU games, but we also do it a lot of times with the UFC fights. We'll get the fights, and it's just the atmosphere out there. But it was last year. It was the Oklahoma State game. Rob and I were on the patio, and Caleb and my neighbor Eli were in the living room, and the other people and there was a delay, okay? And between the living room TV and our TV.
Oh no!
Yeah, by like 2 seconds, you would hear Caleb, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And we're like, "What? And so then the play would start. So
the worst.
Yeah, so we knew something bad was going to happen, or if they started yelling, we're like, "Oh, touchdown! Something good, something's good." Yeah. I don't know why there was a delay between the two TVs. They're 8, 10 feet
you
apart.
have that satellite delay. Do you have satellite TV?
Oh yeah, we got Dish Network. So
but it happens.
Yeah, that was rather rough to to watch that one. But we're looking forward to, not only to the OU Texas game, obviously every year, but Colin, God dang, man, I'm horrible with names. Ultimate UFC fighter McGregor.
Oh, Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The McGregor fights that night, so that's going to be a day of football and a night of fights. That'll be a big one. Looking forward to that day.
It's going to be a fun day. We got some good ones too, because you got the West Virginia game this year, Thanksgiving weekend on a Friday, kind of unique there. Which, man, that was cool. Living here, that trip is not that far away. So we've gone to West Virginia a couple times, and I was able to take in 2016 my son to his first Oklahoma game. And, man, he fell hook, line, and sinker. That was the game it snowed.
Oh, man, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, Dede Westbrook. We went up early, big plays. Dede Westbrook broke one off.
Well, that's
it was hilarious.
That's the game where Dede Westbrook threw the linebacker off of him, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the linebacker got a hold of him, and little skinny Dede just grabbed him by. Yeah.
Yep. That was the play, too. He shook him, get off me, and took it to the house in the snow. It was beautiful. That was going away from us, and it was funny because my son, he's 9 at the time. He doesn't know. Actually, he had just turned 10. He doesn't know what to expect. And he knows we're going into hostile territory. He's never been in an environment like that. So I think he thinks that we're really going to be in harm's way. And we were in the Oklahoma section. So it was so funny, because we got up early and big. It was nothing but high fives and smiles with Sooner fans, all around, and it was hilarious to see him so relieved. Like, man, I thought I was going into a fight.
Yeah,
but it was cool. It was a great memory.
All right, so you've already pretty much dropped your prediction for the year. Another Big 12 title, and another playoff berth. Now, we're gonna stick to this starting next week, Rob, on our stuff. We're not going to talk about losses anymore.
Yay!
Because we're not going to have
right. Well, I've been like that.
But since there hasn't been an undefeated national champion since 2012, Florida State. So
until this year
when Oklahoma does it, Alabama hasn't done it. Nobody's done it since Florida State. What game I'm going to take the Texas game out of it because that's always everybody's go-to game. Everybody knows Texas is going to be a tough game. Outside of Texas, what game concerns you that we could end up being the one blemish on our schedule?
Sure. Well, it better not be Texas, number one, because I'm going. So that ain't happening. And we do pretty well when I'm there. But that wouldn't be my pick anyway. I think the one that worries me is at TCU the next week.
Yeah.
Because, and I think we'll win. I think we're going to win every game. But even though they lost a lot, Patterson always has them playing great D. That's a classic. If the Texas game is a battle, it could be a letdown game. So if you make me pick one, I say at TCU. And if that happens, we get them back in the championship game to go to the playoff.
That one concerns me. The couple of these non-conference games kind of, give me the jitters, but, it's a good enough conference schedule, but, that
real good.
TCU, I think it's going to be a repeat of last year. I think it's going to be us and TCU. I'm not drinking the West Virginia moonshine either. They've been praised for, the last 5 years is going to be in the hunt until Until Thanksgiving weekend and they're in the hunt, I'm not going to buy it. So
nah, they can't ever stop anyone when it counts.
Yeah,
I agree.
But
what non-conference game worries you the most?
I know it sounds weird. Okay, FAU makes me nervous. Okay, real nervous. But the Army game concerns me. I think we're gonna win it. But I think Army's going to give us some fits for about. I honestly, I think all three non-conference games are going to be a game until halfway through the third quarter. Because they're not. FAU isn't a slouch. They're not in Oklahoma.
No,
they're not in Oklahoma.
No.
They don't have our talent. UCLA is not a slouch. They don't have our talent. They don't have everything in line. Army isn't. They don't have our talent, but they are all good, solid football teams. Oklahoma is going to beat them by eventually halfway through the third quarter, wearing them down. By the end of the third quarter, it's going to be done. It's going to be but Army
and just out-athlete them.
Yeah, Army just you never see. You heard last week they were Oklahoma was practicing Army in practice last week. They were running Army plays against the defense.
Well,
because you don't
for good
see
reason, because they run the ball well.
Yeah, I mean they're methodical. They run the the wishbone veer, whatever it is, the broken bone and all that stuff. They're not going to see that. There's nothing going to prepare them for it. Yeah, So that's what bothers me with.
Unless Army beats us, then everybody then start running it.
But we're and they've even said we've got a young defense. This is going to be a young defense. The guys that are going to end up out on that field are youngsters, which is a good thing because I think our youngsters are a lot better than our veterans. But they're going to make mistakes, and you make a mistake against Army, I think Army's going to capitalize on it. But
and they're going to play with discipline. They're going to be fighters. They're not going to quit if they're down. Yeah, they're going to fight for 4 quarters.
Right.
I agree.
And I said none of these teams are bad teams. They're good, solid football teams. And that I don't know, just Army for that reason, and the FAU game or the Lane Kiffin factor is there.
Yeah.
And it's. That one, for it to be the first game of the season, and it was scheduled as the first game of the season for a reason. 5 years ago? Yeah, nobody expected Lane Kiffin to be there.
Yep.
And have a team that went to a bowl game. So.
And here's what worries me about Lane Kiffin is that I think he would be willing to sell out and just go all out for this game. At the expense, work his team so hard and have him so ready at the possible expense of other games, because there's no doubt that beating Oklahoma would get him back on the map for big jobs. So they are going to have one hell of a game plan.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I wouldn't. His mentality would say he would do that. He would give up his whole season to beat Oklahoma in Norman, just to show, hey, look what I did with the talent that I have here. Forget that, half of them are wiped out and hurt, the rest of the year.
Right.
Whatever it is, you give me the talent, I'll go compete with anybody. And because he's not, he's not going to be at Florida Atlantic for the rest of his career.
He just wants to be there this 1 year. Yeah. I promise you, he wants out of there.
Yeah. As soon as he can move on, he had to go back to the drawing board because he embarrassed himself at Tennessee.
Yep.
He embarrassed himself at USC, even though that was the greatest way to fire anybody ever.
Yeah, you're not getting on this plane, buddy.
Yeah, we're just going to leave you there because I went to a seminar one time, a management seminar or whatever, and the guy said, it was kind of like the Jerry Maguire effect. It goes, the easiest way to fire somebody is take them to lunch and get theirs to go. Then you don't have to say anything. That's kind of what they did to Lane. It was like, yep. You stay here.
You're good. You're good right here.
Yeah, but anyway, well, hey Todd, we appreciate you being on the podcast.
It's been
Hope
fun.
you enjoyed yourself. It's been a good time.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, guys.
And,
Appreciate it. It's been fun.
But we got some big stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, when you listen tomorrow, you'll hear some of the stuff we got coming up. But to all the Sooner fans out there, we hope to keep tuning in, keep clicking on iTunes and
Both
Google
of you.
Play. Yeah, all three of you. It's three, Rob.
Sorry.
You forgot Todd. Okay.
Hey, I'm right here.
Yeah. So, but that's the podcast, and we'll see y'all again. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
Boomer Todd.
Boomer, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. If you want to be on the podcast and talk Sooner football with us, go to www.soonerfootballfans.com. Click on the How to Be on the Podcast tab, fill out the form, and we'll get you on. Boomer.